Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, March 29th at 6 o'clock. This meeting is being called to order. Please pledge the flag of the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please join us in a moment of silence to reflect on the importance of our job and also for our veterans who are overseas fighting for our freedoms. Thank you. In accordance to Mass General Law 30A, Section 20E, I need to ask if anyone other than LCAT is recording this meeting. Thank you, Chris.
Valley Radio.
And name?
Brad Shepherd.
Thank you, Brad. I'm sorry? Thank you, Sean. Is there anybody else? I'd like to say that there are some things that aren't on the agenda and some concerns that you've had. At the end of our agenda, we will open up the mics to hear some of your concerns and hopefully address them. So if you can just bear with us as we get through the agenda. Our first appointment is a 6 o'clock appointment with Corinne Turangisi.
So this is kind of a threefold why I'm here. Partially because we have that request from the retiree as far as the retiree policy for eligibility for health insurance. Mm-hmm. Previously, we were trying to decide on it, and it was based mainly on the rate of the Blue Care Elect plan that we were thinking of entertaining the idea. If you look at the rate sheets, the Blue Care Elect plan came down somewhat of a considerable amount of money. It went down 19 and 28%. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll give you one more.
For the individual and the family plans. So my thought on this now is leave things alone, and then if the Human Resource Department does get voted in, if they want to make changes with the policies and stuff, we're not just changing them to be changed again. Mm-hmm. We can just let it stay as is my recommendation. I spoke to Mr. Neffinger as well as town council, and we all thought that that was probably the best thing at this point, to just leave it be with the, if they want to leave the area, if they don't want that plan, then they sever the relationship. And if later, at a later date, we can find out if they can get grandfathered in or somehow be allowed to come back on. But at this point, the rates came down.
Okay, and we have to set this every year at what time?
The rates?
Mm-hmm.
The rate for that plan gets set every May for July 1 change.
Gotcha. Okay.
So in here, there's also the rates for all the other plans. Unfortunately, I don't know. In the past, I know they've always come from the town accountant. Mm-hmm. The town accountant's on maternity leave, so I'm not sure if you have even seen the rates or anything yet. So I just thought I would bring all the rates for you so that when you hear about them, you've seen them first.
Thank you.
They are increasing. We all knew it was going to come sooner or later. Blue Cross Blue Shield, Network Blue New England's taken the biggest hit. The dental plans right now, the rates are 0 because we were coming in with a 24% until 5 o'clock this afternoon. when one of our previous carriers said that they'll meet the rates that we currently have. We haven't vetted any of that out yet as far as what they're trying to change or if they're changing any of the benefits or anything. However, as you guys are aware, we're on a time crunch because we have the benefits fair for April 29th. People need to start making the decisions. So I was hoping to ask your permission to be able to speak to the union representatives and have them decide what they want to do, if they want to take the more expensive plan, or if they want to take maybe some of the cuts in the benefits to keep the rates the same. Since it's no cost to the town, it's a total 100% employee paid plan. I was hoping maybe you would let me do that, and then I could just come back and say, this is what they decided, and you guys can approve either switching carriers again, or if one of you want to be involved with the meeting, that would be beneficial possibly. If you want, I mean, I think it's only fair with the hits that people are taking on the health insurance to maybe let them have a little say in what they, let them control a little something. Let the union officials or the union representatives help, the PEC, the IAC. We have a couple of different groups of members that can maybe get together and just hash it out one day, have the broker come out, talk to them, tell them how. But the 24% hit, I think, is going to be a really big hit on people's dental plans.
Right. Are there any questions from the board? Is there somebody who's interested in being on that, being involved with that process?
When's the meeting?
Tentatively, right now, it's scheduled for April 4th around 3:15.
Yeah, I can't, unfortunately. 4?
April 4th, 3:15. Trying to work.
Monday?
It's Monday. We're trying to get it, as
Do you have the time by any chance?
3:15.
3:15, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, well, Paul, you said you couldn't do it. Billy?
8:15?
3:15 in the afternoon. We have to wait for the schools to get out to get the school union reps.
Yeah, I think I can make it.
Okay, so if Billy doesn't, then I will.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to, did you have anything to say? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to.
Before you
Sure.
vote, if I can just add one more thing. I did speak with the schools and stuff before I go talking to their unions and letting them have any say and stuff. And they were on board. They thought it was a good idea, so.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to let Ms. Tranghese go and speak with the unions with regards to these rates with the liaison and report back to the board.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's on the dental rates.
That's on the dental rates.
There's no discussion on the health rates.
Okay.
And that's it.
Thank you.
See, I'm easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're a little bit early, but I believe our fire chief is here, Palmer Sapp.
Water for me?
I know.
That's right. Thank you. You want one?
Hi, chief.
Good evening. I have a couple things for the board this evening. First, annually, the town is fortunate enough to receive their Emergency Management Performance Grant. We've been doing it for several years. This year, we received the allotment, which is based on the size of the community, $4,460, which was approved for by MEMA for the purchase of a large capacity battery-operated ventilation fan and a handheld portable air monitoring meter, which both of those are used in the event of a fire, but typically the battery-operated fan is more used for CO calls. Somebody has CO in their house, or a cooking incident at a Quarry Hill or Bluebird Estates, a place like that. It's real convenient and safer for the firefighters to use that as opposed to move the bigger fan around. But, so. The next item is basically just an update. We started our extended coverage on February 7th. That Sunday, So for the 23 days of February, the new schedule took effect. The department responded to a total of 62 incidents. February is a very busy month for us. One of the things that's kind of interesting, though, 51 of those calls, or 82% of those incidents, were handled during the daytime shift. So it kind of was a little higher than projected. Again, that was a very busy month for us. I anticipate the total number of calls will drop per month, and actually March is almost over, and they have. At this point in March, we are at a total of 30 calls for the month, so we're less than half. And we only got a few days left. But of the remaining incidents, were handled with all calls or on duty during all calls or group calls. So that's where some of the overtime came into effect. If you average out the calls that were all calls, the cost was about $420 per call. So if you take the savings of the 23 days that we handled those 33 incidents, it's roughly a $13,000 estimated savings for the town. Again, February is one of those cold months. We had a lot of incidents. We did some mutual aid, so some of the costs were from that. But all in all, it was a good month for us, and this month again seems to be a lot less.
That's great.
Yep. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions on that report?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lastly, next is my overtime budget. Every year, right around this time, I let the board know and appropriations know, because of how we operate nighttime, it's hard to judge when our calls are coming in. Our overtime is running above projection for the year. As of February 29th, we were shooting above the budgeted amount, and our budgeted amount is $105,000 annually. Our monthly average projection, we were estimated to run about $22,000 short. Again, March has been a real quiet month, so I don't anticipate that number, but I'm saying max, that's what it could be.
Okay.
And we're running low right now, so we're going to keep it that way. I will, like I have always done, keep the board abreast of what's going on with the numbers when it comes to the overtime.
And have you spoken with appropriations yet?
Yes, they have this letter.
Fantastic.
The letter was sent to them, so they know, and,
Great, thank you.
Through the chair, do you think that the increased hours might help you reduce your overtime
It's
from now
definitely-
until the
yeah,
end of the
it's
year? So
definitely-
maybe, but then you may not need
Right.
that. Okay.
If you look at just the month of February, we saved those overtime hours in the 23 days of the month, so yeah. If 80% of the calls continue to come in that window that we're there, that's going to be great.
Okay.
Can't always guarantee it, but we'll do our best.
Now, I understand you're going to talk to us about the mitigation committee?
I guess, yeah, a little bit about the mitigation plan. Selectman Federici printed it, 107.
Any trees I killed here?
107 pages. Back March 2015, the group met. It was the town administrator at the time, he started it, and then interim Greg Moyer began. Bob Parent, Superintendent of Public Works, Brian Falk, Emergency Management Director, Robin McDonald, Planning, myself, and Dan Hellier, the Building Inspector. The plan basically is a requirement when you want to apply for some FEMA grant funding for some mitigation. It helps the town when we're ready to go for the funding of major projects. The good thing is the Board of Public Works has been doing a great job on some of the drainage issues in town.
Right.
We don't have a lot of culverts that are issues. We don't have a lot of storm-related mitigation that we can do, and that's outlined in the plan. It talks about all kinds of stuff from tornadoes to hurricanes to flash floods to major snow events, major heat events, droughts. It goes into a lot of different things. We went through it, we prioritized it all. So now the next phase is, it's at the MEMA level now with the state. They're going through the draft form, make recommendations, changes, and Catherine from Pioneer Valley Planning believes, she's done this before, she thinks there's not going to be a lot of changes on our part. And then from there, it's going to go to FEMA for their approval. And when that gets approved by FEMA, then it comes back to the board for their adoption. And then from there, we can use that as a document if we want to apply for grants for mitigation.
And I see you have the timeline here, too.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions on what has been presented? Okay.
All set?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we are moving right along. I know we're early. Is Amy Petrowski here? Okay.
All right, so just two quick things to update you guys on. On March 2nd, I sent 6 requests for quotes to companies about the mosquito spraying that we do every spring. Of the 6 requests, 1 company returned our request with an estimate that was provided to you in your package. So I'm just looking for the board to vote to allow me to go ahead and offer this company the contract if there are no concerns.
Okay. Is this the same company we used?
Yep, it's the same company we've used for the last 3 years.
They've done a great job. I'll entertain a motion to accept the bid by Ray Newcomb, who is the president, and the name of the company,
JBI.
JBI Helicopters, to do the mosquitoes spraying.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye.
Great, so the second item is Melissa, the Assistant Animal Control Officer, has requested a temporary leave of absence from April 5th to May 21st. Warner Cross has been selected as the temporary replacement for her. Warner has been a longtime East Long Meadow resident. He owns Porter Road Kennels, and he's done animal control work for East Long Meadow and Long Meadow previously. So I'm looking for the board to temporarily appoint Mr. Cross for no longer than 90 days during Melissa's absence.
Okay. I'll entertain that motion to accept Warner Cross as a replacement to, temporary replacement to Melissa while she's out on a temporary leave of absence.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there any further discussion? No. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nice and quick.
Nice and quick. Thank you so much. Whoops.
We'll do it.
Okay. Is our 6:45 here? And that would be Thomas Florence? Maybe a little early. Okay. Well, would you like to do meetings? And
Well, we can approve the minutes and things. It's
Okay,
up to you. I
sure.
can do whatever you want to do.
Okay, we'll go to minutes, no problem. We're just going to go to approve the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for open session on May 26th, January 12th, January 26th, and 29th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the executive session minutes from May 26th, January 12th, and January 26th of 2016.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Well, so we're going to go to the interim town administrator updates. Sure.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Board. At this time, I normally update the Board of Selectmen on things that are going on in town, since I'm the full-time representative of the Board of Selectmen, and my job is, or my task is to run the town on a daily basis. I've been very surprised here in East Long Meadow by the public's recent attitude towards me, and I felt that was something that needs to be addressed. And bear with me, because I think you want to hear it. And you know what? Later on, I'd be happy to answer anyone's questions. That's the honest truth. You know, when I came here, the selectmen interviewed me, and they voted unanimously. Not 2-1, it was unanimous.
It
And
was 2-1. I voted for the woman from Connecticut. Look at the record. Yeah, I
Thank you, Selectman Federici, for that. It is, it's been recorded, and I have a copy of it, and it was a 3-0 vote. We have a copy. If you come to Selectman's office, I'll give it to you. The minutes of the meeting show 3-0.
Minutes, I came in, you're 2 months behind on your minutes.
I have a copy of it in my office. I'll continue, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. I think I have a right to say my piece, right? You know what? So here we go. Next, the vote for the chief, and imagine, I came here, and I've been here only a few weeks, and the Board of Selectmen have a meeting, and they vote unanimously not to renew the chief of police contract. Now, you can imagine how I feel when, this is, I think, the marching orders of the Board of Selectmen. I don't vote on anything, remember. I can't do anything like that. So there we are. I'm supposed to move forward with the search for the new chief because I'm the full-time person, right? So the selectmen, out of 20-something applicants, choose five people in order to form a search committee, okay? Those go through 17 applicants, and they choose 5. I don't vote, I don't discuss, I'm not part of the search committee, okay? They choose 5. One of them was not Chief Mellis. What do I know? Okay, I'm not from East Long Meadow. I don't know you guys. I don't know anything at all about it, right? I'm just here. So what happens is that they go and they renew it down to 3, okay? So 3 are down there, and all of a sudden I call, so the committee is dissolved. They've done their job, bring 3 before the Board of Selectmen. So my job, I call up the 3 members of the Board of Selectmen, and I say, here are the 3. Thank you very much. I call up the first one, Chief Farnsworth. Thank you very much. I call up the second and third. So many minutes later, I don't know if it was a half hour or 10 minutes or whatever, I get a call from Chief Farnsworth saying, you know what, is there a residency requirement? And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? This has been over a month now, and you don't know that there's a residency requirement? Anyway, so I say to him, you know what, why don't you go ask the Board of Selectmen, interview with them and ask the Board of Selectmen, okay? So that's how we ended it. Then I read in the newspaper, somehow I knew weeks beforehand, and I didn't tell the selection committee. Then when I come out and say my side of the story, now it's changed to 1 week. And then it was changed to a few days that I didn't know about it. And I can tell you right now, I never spoke to Chief Farnsworth in my life until the selection committee was dissolved. And I have proof of that. Anyways, I'll try to keep it going, but I think it's important that you all hear this, okay? So then I hear that somehow there was a meeting with Frank Keogh, and there was some kind of a deal made, and I'm being accused of being corrupt, okay? Now, I know now, I just found out a few days ago that there was a third person in that meeting. That person is willing to testify that during that meeting it was about real estate, and my name never came up. But the meeting happened after I was hired, so there was no deal or anything. And I never asked anyone to do anything for me. I never asked anyone to speak in my name. I never asked anyone to lobby for me, nothing, okay? Also, that person's willing to testify who was in that meeting that the name of Captain O'Brien never came up. Now, I don't really care about that, okay, because that's not me. I don't really care about that deal, okay? But anyway, so to finish up here, I think I deserve some due process. When I was mayor, people could kick the crap out of me, okay? And I was there to serve the public. But you know what? Now I'm an employee of the town. You have no right to say things about me that are slanderous about me. So I have rights as an employee of the town. There's due process. No one can say things publicly about me. If you want to say something about me, it's done in executive session. You cannot talk about a person's conduct in public. You have to do it in executive session. And I have a right to be there, and I have an attorney to be there also.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. That was supposed to, I understand, Chris.
It was his chance to yell and
Oh,
scream.
thank you. Okay.
So how about we're allowed to rebuttal? That'd be great.
Well, you will, when you're able to go up to the mic, okay? All right. New business is, at this point, is Mr. Florence here yet? Okay, so let's go back to Tom Florence, our town clerk. He has a report that he needs to give. Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, no problem. That's what we're here for.
I'm here tonight just to, a couple things. Chapter 268A, Section 17 and 20, what it does is it establishes employees as special municipal employees. And our accounting office wanted something before 2 election workers got paid. They wanted something in writing, and the way to do it, I talked to the State Ethics Commission. They say get a vote of the board. It's common in a lot of cities and towns. We have some election workers who are also working on other committees and doing other paid things in the town. So right here, there's only 2 workers that fall into that category. And if we get a vote of the board to designate them special municipal employees that can continue on as election workers and get paid the stipend as an election worker. But for that to happen, we do need a vote.
Okay, have we done this in the past?
We have not.
We have not. It's never come up.
It hasn't come up. Before, the election workers were vendors, so to speak, that a vendor contract. Now they're employees of the town. So it's just something to make sure that, there's no conflict, there's no disclosure, that,
Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to accept these 2 individuals as special municipal employees. Do we need to read their names? Okay. Richard Fitzgerald and Tom O'Connor as special municipal employees. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Yeah.
I might, I think the more appropriate motion would be to designate the election workers as a class, as special municipal employees.
Okay.
And you can do that also, you can do the whole group. But those are the only 2 that had other, but you're right, Jim, you can do that.
He said there's only 2 that are employees of the town and also, that serve on other boards and would become employees of the town.
All I'm saying, when you designate a special municipal employee, the statute requires that you designate the position, not individual people.
Okay,
Okay, can do that too.
so we designate the position to be special municipal employees. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. We're done. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Bob.
Okay. All right, moving to new business. The SVR HT voting members, I guess we have to vote them in yearly. Right now, we have our town accountant, Sarah Menard, as the voting member. I'll entertain a motion to accept her as continuing voting member.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. In the past, the alternate member has been the town manager? Town administrator, excuse me. I'll entertain a motion to continue that practice unless somebody has another idea.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
The annual reports, that would be you.
In your package, there should be a draft letter from the Board of Selectmen for the annual report. And the thing that's missing there are significant events that you feel ought to go in there. So I'm just giving that to you. And you can give me any updates that you'd like, and we'd get that into the annual report. Otherwise, the annual report is complete in all the departments, and we just need to get it set for the printer.
No, okay. And so the annual town meeting, the warrants, right, as I understand it, we just need to choose a date to close the warrants and decide what we will or won't be supporting. I suggest that we do that on April 5th, which would be next Tuesday. Does that work?
No.
Not for you?
No.
Okay. So what is a good day for you?
What's the deadline to do these?
That one?
So, town meeting is in mid-May, and to get it 2 weeks before there, I talked to the reminder who's the printer for it, so the 28th of April is when their next issue comes out, and so that'll be plenty of time before 2 weeks for the residents to have that. We need to get that to them by the 26th, which is a Tuesday, to have it finally completed. We were hoping that if we have a meeting on April 5th, which is next Tuesday, that would give us 3 weeks to go through it and edit it and find any problems. We could probably narrow that down to a shorter time, but I just thought that would keep it safe for us. So a week from now. So where we are right now is we have all the warrants from all the residents and from department heads, and the Appropriation Committee, I believe, is meeting tonight, and they will be, hopefully, by the end of the week, giving us the budget for the town. What we'll be doing then is we'll be assembling all this together and getting it prepared for printing, but what we need is any other final warrants, and we've had from the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen is the one who closed the warrants. So we're hoping if they would close it by next Tuesday, we could have anything else from the Board of Selectmen put in there, given to the Board of Selectmen by perhaps this Friday. They could review it over the weekend and Monday, and if they were to meet on Tuesday, that would be a convenient time for them to close the warrants. But there is no definitive date for that, to answer your question. It could be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, et cetera, so we still have time.
Could it be our next scheduled meeting on the 13th?
You could discuss that, so.
Billy, do you have anything to say? Do you have any preference on when you want to do that? Selectman Gorman? I said, do you have a preference as to when you want to do that? As to doing it after the 13th or doing it?
After the 13th.
Okay, that's fine. All right, then. So we'll set a date for that.
Tell them what to say before the meeting. Yeah. Even if You're good. Go over it.
Okay, so you'll do it on the meeting on April 13th. That's a Wednesday,
It's a Wednesday
Wednesday.
because Election Day is Tuesday.
yeah. I'm okay with not voting on it, it's fine, that works with me. In your packet, you have notices from, correspondence from the Director of Planning, Zoning, and Conservation with regards to the reorganization. We have a thank you letter from the Town of Amherst for our assistance to them. With regards to Town Council, there are no new developments, so we will not have executive session tonight. Would you like to do the meetings, and then
Sure.
we'll go into the comments?
Under meetings, invitations, and reminders, the annual town election will be Tuesday, April 12th, 2016, at Birchland Park Middle School, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Be there. Board of Selectmen's meeting, Wednesday, April 13th, 2016, at 6 p.m., Council on Aging Media Room, 328 North Main Street. And town offices are closed Monday, April 18th, 2016, in observance of Patriots' Day.
Thank you, Paul. Or Selectman Federici. At this point, we are going to open up the mics for comments and...
Actually, if May, through the chair, you forgot items 11 and 12.
Did I?
The well, I don't know if you don't want to do the correspondence, or...
I did do those.
Oh,
I
okay.
did mention it.
Okay, sorry.
We're going to open up the mics for concerns and comments. We ask that you keep your comments to 1 minute so that everybody can have an opportunity, anybody who wants to have an opportunity to come and speak. However, we will try to I think we're going to let as many people speak as possible. Also, let me do this. Also, this is East Long Meadow. And we conduct ourselves in an orderly fashion. So I would ask that we be considerate, when we're on the mic, so that we can hear what everybody has to say and that we can respond. If for some reason it gets unruly, we will adjourn and we'll be done. I see we have somebody at the mic. Please address your name and your address.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Mark Sullivan. I live at 51 East Village Road in East Long Meadow.
Yes.
I have 3 questions for Selectman Gorman. In the last meeting, one of the motions you put forward, which was voted on a 2-to-1, was to make Mr. Nefflinger a permanent town administrator. What was the term of his contract under that permanent arrangement?
We didn't do it, I haven't done his contract yet.
No,
Mrs. Thorpe is doing her
I'll be
contract.
doing the
but
contract.
what is the term of Mr. Nefflinger's contract?
3 years, he said.
Would it be 3 years?
No.
That's a very good question, and I'd be happy to answer that. Right now, I have a contract as an interim town administrator. I was appointed as permanent town administrator. My intention is that if the charter passes, my job is over, that the town doesn't owe me a cent, and nothing like that's going to happen. I know that's a concern of yours.
Yeah, that's definitely where I was going, isn't it?
Right. I have no intention of that happening. I'm here to serve the people of East Long Meadow. And you know why they voted, and I appreciate they voted me? To protect me, to make sure it's clear that I'm a town employee, and that if people can't treat me as just someone who comes along, that I have certain
So
rights.
as a matter of public record, then, if the new, in the probability or possibility that a town charter goes through,
Yes,
there's no exposure from the town from a contract that we would owe you.
absolutely.
I want to see that in writing.
It's public record.
Yes.
Jim Barthelmess, 95 Glen Farms Drive. Mr. Gorman, I'd like to know if you could update the townspeople on your negotiation with the new police chief.
How the negotiations are
Yeah,
going.
yeah, where we stand with the
We
negotiation.
haven't come to any settlement yet. We're probably 90%.
Okay.
Can't hear you.
We're probably
Please.
90% there, but we have more negotiations with them.
No details?
No.
If I could add, or ask a question in regard to that, if you're still negotiating and it's March 29th, who's in charge on Friday of the police department?
We did discuss it.
Well, maybe you discussed it, but I wasn't privy to that, so.
And neither was the
Yeah.
council. You're trying to say.
Well, you know what? The answer is, when the motion was made, was if they did not come to an agreement in the negotiations that Billy Gorman, and you were here, Selectman Federici, that they would be able to appoint, Billy Gorman would be able to appoint somebody temporary until the negotiations were completed. As to who would be appointed, I don't think they're at that point. I think well,
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
have to, would you?
You got 2 days. so.
Isn't the goal to try to get the negotiations completed by the 31st?
We're trying to, yeah.
Okay. Yes. Come to the mic, please. Yeah, name and address,
Name and address.
please.
Pat Ahern, 43 Powder Hill Road.
Yes, Pat.
My question is
Come closer to the mic, please.
if you are currently in negotiations for a interim police chief until such arrangements have been made with DeLassio or you come to an agreement, aren't we entitled to know who that possible person is at this last minute? I mean, today you have 2 days. So we're not entitled to know who this person is that you might appoint to this position on Friday?
Well, at the last meet, we said that we appointed Mr. DeLassio, and he accepted.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about if the negotiations with Mr. DeLassio are not finalized by March 31st. Okay, so he is not the chief yet. Who is, like Mrs. Thorpe just said, that you had agreed that you would provide a person to take over that position until such time. So who is that person?
We'll have to, between the three of us, we're going to have to come up with.
Well, you mean to
Okay.
tell me, okay.
We could extend the police chief.
Excuse me.
We could,
Exactly. So is this true that she is not telling the truth when she just said that you are working on that right now with somebody? Because that's what she said when I came up to the
we're
mic.
working on it with Mr. DeLassio.
DeLassio.
Oh, you're not listening to my question.
No, you're not listening to his answer.
I
If-
am.
Okay, I'll listen
I
to you.
am. My question is, if you and
Yeah.
Mr. DeLassio, by March 31st, do not come to a full agreement on his contract, who will be our police chief at 12:01 a.m. Friday morning?
Mr. DeLassio,
Okay, understand that, Mr. Chief.
you're just giving a scenario. We may have the thing settled by then.
If you
We're
don't-
90% there.
Okay.
I'm going by what Mrs. Thorpe said, that you had somebody in mind that may take that position as of 12:01 a.m. Friday
Mr.
morning.
DeLassio.
Okay, let me explain what he's given
I
up.
know what he's saying. He's not answering.
He's saying that, if I'm incorrect, please correct me, Selectman Gorman, that if the contract is not settled, that the interim position would be offered to Mr. DeLassio.
Then why is
But that's not settled yet. I mean, so,
But why did you say in your comment, when I had asked that question, that you were working, or you weren't sure, or so on and so forth?
I'm not sure. I just heard him just say that.
Well, if you didn't know that before this minute, that that's what's going on in this town? Do you see what
You're
I'm-
making, I
Okay,
understand,
all I'm saying is, you all should be on the same page.
Right.
And if Mr.
I agree.
Gordon just said that it was going to be DeLassio, you should have known that before he just said it.
Well-
Mr. Federici should have known that before you just said it.
okay.
I mean, am I wrong?
Well, I don't think that you're wrong, and, that's how you feel.
It's not how I feel. I'm stating the facts of what he just stated this, and you just found out about it.
Right, but we did say that, we did give him the power to come up with somebody who would fill that position, the interim position. That's what was in the motion.
Okay. Was in the motion, but that's not what my question was.
Okay, then I'm
Okay,
misunderstanding
no.
that. I
No,
apologize.
I think maybe we've got it all together now, but
Okay.
my concern is, as select person,
Mm-hmm.
y'all should be on the same page here. And you should have known that DeLassio was going to be the one.
No,
Instead
they
of paying
shouldn't.
me
No,
that
they
you
shouldn't,
didn't know.
because I'm doing the bargaining with them, and we can't have a meeting between the three of us without it being a legal notice, so we don't,
this
with
is-
conflict of interest.
This would have
All
been a
right?
violation of
So when
open
I
meeting
find
laws.
out what we're doing, we'll make a meeting, and we'll get together with the other two selectmen, and we'll come up with agreement on what we're gonna do.
And you're doing the negotiations solely yourself? So no
Yes.
one's even privy to these negotiations?
No, that's the way it's always been, with
Okay.
everybody.
Okay. I'm just asking. I'm just
If
asking.
I could address that, Sergeant DeLassio and his attorney, Selectman Gorman and myself
Yep.
are discussing the issues in the town, and we're coming up with an agreement. Also, just to remind you that when the chief is away on vacation, there are other many capable sergeants in the department who take over while the chief is away. So that's why, we've talked about these things many hours. We spent 4 hours yesterday with Sergeant DeLassio. So we're talking about all these type of things when we're trying to come up with things that are going to be best for the town of East Long Meadow and address all the concerns of public safety for East Long Meadow.
My last statement to all of you is I don't think any of you have any goddamn concerns about the town of East Long Meadow.
Well, all I can say, if you do, you run for office next time, you'll see.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, Ms. Ahern, and I would say that I can speak for myself. I do have very big concerns for our town of East Long Meadow. Okay.
Mark Sullivan, 51 East Village Road. I guess this is another question directed towards Selectman Gorman. You made a motion at the last meeting to appoint Sergeant DeLessio as police chief, but I'm curious if you can give the citizens of East Long Meadow some insight as to why you would ignore your own search committee's recommendation to abandon the search.
What did we ignore?
I
No,
believe the search committee said that we should cancel the search, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
may I take that one, please?
I think they said keep Chief Mellis.
They did. And what happened, we had a search committee that they were charged with giving us 3 finalists, and that's all they were charged with. They gave us the 3 finalists. As you know, 1 dropped out, and then the second one, Captain O'Brien dropped out. So there was 1 that was left. And he was a viable candidate. He's from our town. We have invested in him. He was a good candidate from the start. So why wouldn't we go ahead and appoint him and finish the process?
Well, I guess I need an answer to the question. Why did you ignore or not follow the search committee's recommendation?
Because we didn't ask for a recommendation from the search committee. What the search committee was charged with was to give us 3 candidates, 3 finalists. And they gave us the 3 finalists.
And they did not give you a final recommendation to stay with Chief Mellis?
They gave us, yes, they did.
And you chose to ignore that?
That's not what they were charged with.
But that's not what he's
And
asking.
we had, so, okay.
Yep, they have
My name is Richard Turnberg. I live on Summers Road here in town. I have a lot of questions, going back several years.
Speak up, bud.
Okay, I have a lot of questions, I'm sure like everybody does. I go back from the time you got elected, Billy, when you started saying using this term, team corruption, basically saying that the select board was corrupt, the planning board was corrupt, the DPW was corrupt, there was corruption with the police station. You even probably accused the Board of Library Trustees of being corrupt, I don't know. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, on September 16th of 2014, you made a motion to dispose of Angela Thorpe as the chairman.
Yes, I did.
And you stated your reasons that it was basically she was procrastinating on everything. Also, there was concerns that she was abusing her authority as a so-called police commissioner by asking for special parking privileges, I guess it was, and her cat at the veterinarian's trying to get a reduced price. I think there was an issue at the Countryside store where she basically pointed to the guy's liquor license and said she signed it or things like that. What I'm saying is this: you called her at this September 16th meeting, you called her a liar and said you were going to prove it. Matter of fact, you repeated that she was a liar and said you were going to prove it 3 times. Now, all she's done since then, she made a quick statement saying that those charges were baseless and she was not going to dignify them with a comment. Well, I look at it this way, Ms. Thorpe. You should reply to those, because either you're not telling the truth or he's not telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know this is your last meeting. Maybe it's a chance for you to tell the truth about this. Or either that, you're going to leave with that stamp liar on your forehead.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you're going to leave this town.
As I had said before.
Let me tell you something, Dick. Someone went to ethics on Mrs. Thorpe,
Yep.
and I made an agreement with Mrs. Thorpe at that time because she was ticked off at me for doing what I did to her.
Yes.
And I told her, if ethics come back and they find nothing on her, I'll reinstate her as the chairman. Well, we've been waiting all this time for an answer from ethics. We got no answer, so I was going to reinstate Mrs. Thorpe if she got elected again. She didn't, so I made my promise to her, and I put her back in the chair.
Very nice you did. So what you did in January, when Mr. Neffinger showed up, he had a little agenda. He basically apologized or said he was sorry for having fired Dan O'Brien. So they both end up in East Long Meadow here, trying to get positions in town. And I think Mr. Messenger came into this town, he's a very smart individual. And I think he's a puppet master. The puppet's here with you and Angela. And that's why you got this whole thing going on. All right? There's all kinds of accusations in the paper. Now, these are quotes about the things you said about the chief, mismanagement up there. You said that in January, shortly after he came. You had the chairman of the Appropriations Committee prove to you that it wasn't the chief's fault, it was contracts. The president of the International Association of Police Chiefs, or police officers, basically disagreed with the appropriations chairman, but at the same time supported Chief Millis. But you weren't going to hear any of that. You had a vendetta against the chief from day
Okay,
one.
that's
And you've been
not
doing
true.
it.
That's your opinion, Dick, okay?
Oh, yeah, it's my opinion.
The vendetta, Dick, is you grew up with me, and you got vendetta toward Billy Gorman and the Gorman
You and
family,
I were friends.
Okay, a minute, time.
50 years.
Time.
50 years I've been here.
Time.
Making fun of Gorman's name.
Billy, you're not going to do this what you did before.
But I'm going to tell you,
shut me out
Dick.
before,
I'm going to tell you,
you do it
Dick.
again.
Mr. Moyer also was going to get rid of the police chief, okay? Okay?
I know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Selectman,
I didn't think
Selectman Gorman,
You and I
Mr.
were-
Turnberg,
you and
thank
I
you
were
for your
friends.
comments.
You and
Is there
I were
anybody
friends up
else?
until about a year ago.
This sounds
when you
personal.
started- when
It
you said
truly
nasty
sounds
things to me
personal.
on a phone conversation.
Yeah.
And we're not through with that yet, Billy. I've
Okay.
also gone to the
Mr. Turnberg,
Attorney
I
General's office.
know you don't want to be the reason for somebody else not being able to talk. Yes.
I'm Ed Brown from Greenwich Road in East Long Meadow. And Selectman Gorman and Mr. Neffinger, you indicated that you're negotiating with the potential police chief and his attorney. You didn't reference whether or not we have legal counsel involved?
Yes, I'd like to answer that. We did contact our labor attorney about the chief police contract. Our labor attorney gave us a sample contract to use as a guide. We've also been looking at the town of Long Meadow, the town of Wilbraham, and the town of Greenfield for their language also. We brought that together, and we gave that to the Sergeant DeLessio. Sergeant DeLessio gave it to his attorney. He made some edits to that contract, and we're discussing those edits right now.
Okay, but will we have, before any contract is signed, outside legal counsel
I also
review?
spoke to our town council. We spoke yesterday, and I said that we are working on a contract, and I will be giving it to him because his signature will be on it as a town accountant's signature and 2 selectmen's or hopefully 3 selectmen's signatures. But we did speak. Attorney Donahue and I spoke, and he will be reviewing the contract.
Okay, one other question. Selectman Gorman, you mentioned that Selectman Thorpe was under an ethics review, and you were waiting for that to end. So just for my clarification, that review is still ongoing at this point?
As far as I know, nobody from the ethics committee got back to us.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand.
My understanding is, when I spoke with them, is that if there was any findings, they would contact me. And they haven't contacted me, so I will give a call tomorrow.
No, it's just, I just
I know
think
I
it's a
didn't
point of
do it,
interest.
so,
No, I don't even put that on you. I don't know
so-
who's responsible for trying to get this thing closed, but one would suspect that if there were an ethics investigation going on, and who performs that? Is that a state body?
That would
or-
be a state body, yeah.
Okay, so presumably, we would have an interest as a town, and with you folks representing us, to see that any ethics investigations of any individual would be resolved one way or another.
Actually, I can answer that, believe it or not. A while back, I spoke to the Ethics Commission, and they said that the only 2 people that would find out, if there was a finding, would be the person involved and the person who made the complaint, unless it was something that they took public. Other than that, no one else is entitled to find it out, so just to let you know. So you may think that the townspeople are entitled to, but if you ask the Ethics Commission, that's not the case.
But my point is, at some point in time, when the investigation is closed, that would be communicated to someone.
Right.
It would probably be just, as I said, just the people, the two, the complainant and the person being complained about.
Okay.
Not the town attorney?
I don't believe so. No, that's not what they told me.
Okay.
So,
I know
so
that
you're unaware of it having been
When they
closed?
spoke to me, they said if there was anything, they would call me. Kind of, don't call it. Oh.
When I was mayor of West Springfield, you can imagine all kinds of people can anonymously, and you can go online and just anonymously complain to the Attorney General, ethics and things like that. So I had quite a few of them. And it's true, and you just go online and check it. You can file an email, you can call them, or you can fill out the form online if you have a complaint about an elected official. All the ones that were against me were dropped. They were given to the town attorney first, and the town attorney talked to me about it afterwards, but every single one that was against me was dropped. So unfortunately, that's the life of an elected official, is anyone can do an ethics complaint about someone, and sometimes it goes on for very long.
Keep that microphone there, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm on a roll. My question for you, Mr. Neffinger, is you've obviously, and you've articulated earlier, you've seen the upheaval that's occurred in this town, and it's been difficult for, I'm sure, all of you, as well as all of us, and I can't even say that we can put anyone in the same boat for a variety of reasons. Considering that, I guess my question is, why, given those circumstances, are you interested in being the town administrator here? I think you have the ability, potentially, to tell us why you're a good fit for us. And it's not our decision. We have elected officials who are responsible for that. But you could actually share with us not just the difficulties, but why you think this is a good position for both us and you, because I think that's some of the concern here.
I'd be more than happy to address your question. And actually, I did address some of that when I was interviewing with the Board of Selectmen. Why would I come to East Long Meadow? After things started to get upheavaled, I was in Rotary Club in West Springfield, and someone said to me, "Didn't you know that East Long Meadow is screwed up? Why'd you go over there?" And, I feel like I feel like, of course, it's anecdotal, and, but they were asking me the same question, why'd you go to East Long Meadow, right? And basically because I was told that if you come to East Long Meadow, there's some ways you can help East Long Meadow out. And believe it or not, right now, it was my initiative to go to the Board of Selectmen and say, we need to have a human resource department. And it was put in the budget so the last minute, because I got here, the budget was already in the process when I got here, last week of December. So what I did was, we put it to appropriations, and appropriations agreed. They said, but we'd like to get a letter from the DPW board, and we'd like to get a letter from the school committee. Well, I did that. And one of the members of the appropriations said, I can't believe that you got the Board of Selectmen, the DPW board, and the school committee to agree on anything. And they agreed that we need a human resource department. It will save us money, and it will really help organize the town. What we also had done is Billy Gorman had formed a health department. Angela Thorpe came to me and said we should do the compact community. We're now getting potentially $500,000 in grants in order to improve the town. I also went to the casino mitigation and said we want to get $150,000 so that we can study the Rotary here in front of the town hall to try to improve that. The last study was done in 2002, and I spoke to the DPW superintendent about that. And so there's various things. I feel like I have certain talents that can really improve the town of East Long Meadow. And believe me, I thought I was coming to a peaceful town. I thought I was going to be in the background. And you are in general a peaceful town, yes, you know what I'm talking about, right? But believe me, every single department head, I've had people come to me and say, this department head is horrible, he needs to go. This person's horrible, he needs to go. And I said, listen, I've just come to make peace here. I'm here to go forward, step by step, baby steps, so that we can improve it. You guys have been through a lot. You've had selectmen go to jail, you've had other things happen. I feel like I'm here to help improve, and that's really what I'm trying to do. And Selectman Thorpe would like to take my mic.
Yes, so he stops talking and just take a look.
Okay, did that answer your question? Because if not, I'm going to ask if you come back, because we have a line
Oh, no,
forming,
no,
and we want a one.
I
you were trying
doubt
to
I'll
do
come
1
back,
minute.
but I don't promise I won't.
Okay, good enough.
Good evening, folks. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Name
'Cause
and
I don't want you
address.
to miss anything.
Name and address, please.
I am Marilyn
Thank you.
Richards.
Yeah.
I live at 342 Pinehurst Drive.
Thank you, Marilyn.
I have been an elected and appointed official in this town for over 28 years. And thank you. And I still serve in the capacity of an appointed official as the zoning review bylaw committee, zoning bylaw review committee, excuse me.
Thank you for your service.
Never has anyone filed an ethics complaint against me. I believe as elected officials, we set the standard for the town, and I have been extremely distressed with behavior. And as I have been concerned, when we elect people, who knew? Who knew at the ballot box that we would be electing individuals with bad behavior? And it's been an embarrassment. I left your last meeting, just about in tears because I couldn't believe that what I was seeing was just imploding in front of me. I believe East Long Meadow is worth fighting for. I believe that we have good government already in place, but we may be making decisions to change that. It doesn't matter. It all matters to who fills the positions, who we elect. And so I just want you to know that it's the elected officials that set the standard, and I sure hope that we will see a change very soon. East Long Meadow is not in trouble. We have a lot of good people, Mr. Neffinger.
Yes.
We really do. We are not in trouble. At least the rumors you're hearing, we're not hearing here. So thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Christopher Sand, born, raised, been here all my life, educated here. Soccer coach 30 years, president for 10 years in the Soccer Association. I know all you. This is disgusting. Really is. I have periodically gotten into things on my own interest, field renovations and things in town that I felt important for. I had to step up for this kind of thing when you start seeing people that are taking over our government, playing a puppet. Mr. Turnberg, you had some very good thoughts about what was going on here. This is a vendetta against somebody, and it's not part of our town. My main question is, why are we spending $100,000 on surveying our rotary? Really? If I didn't ask Mr. Neffinger. I asked Chair,
Okay.
please.
All right.
We've been here all our lives. You've been here all your lives. You have. If people would stop at the stop signs, we'd be good to go. If we need to get a policeman out there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and get the word out that you're not going to fly through East Long Meadow Center again, then let's do that. Don't waste our $100,000 on something like that. I'm good.
Mr. Sands, if I can respond, please. That was $150,000. That it's not town's money, it's a
I
grant.
don't care whose
Well,
money.
it still is our money.
It's town's money. That's my, yours, and everybody
Yeah, the
else's
taxpayers'
that you're
money.
wasting.
If I could respond also, that whole process from the get-go, from what I understand, and I know this, Mr. Neffinger signed the form to send to MGM, which he had no authority to do. That was supposed to come to the board and have the board review it and sign it.
Right.
And also, I understand that the DPW subsequently sent a letter to MGM asking them to discount the letter and not act on it.
So why are things like that being done without our approval?
Wait a minute, when was this on?
In fact, it was allowed for the town administrator to sign it. And we did talk to other selectmen, Selectman Federici. You may disagree with it, but we have 3 selectmen on the board. And he has, and he has a-
When did you talk to people at a meeting, which is where you're supposed to do
When
this?
did this publicly come
When
out?
was publicly discussed, or did you just?
All
have
of a sudden,
three
I
of you
heard
at a meeting?
$100,000. I'm like, go sit in the center for 5 minutes. You could figure out what to do.
Okay, you know what? I'm sorry, I filled out a grant for $100,000
That's, apology doesn't
East
change the
Long
thing.
Meadow.
You took advantage of your position and you're
Exactly.
wasting our money.
That's your opinion.
That's
and
just- no, it's
you're
a
entitled
fact.
to your opinion.
That wasn't
It's
in
a
your job
fact.
purview to do that, so.
You didn't have the authority, and what else will you sign off?
Okay, we'll look into that.
Please.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Federici.
Name and address, please.
Kelly Degnan,
Thank
Gerard
you.
Avenue. Mr. Federici, commendable job putting up with these two. I don't know how you do it. My question is for you, Mr. Neffinger. Last week's meeting, it was brought up that we were going to give you a contract for 3 years. I don't want your words. I just want you to listen to a taxpayer. You don't live in this town, so you can listen to me. I came up to you after Mr. Gorman offered you a contract for a 3-year position, and knowing full well that this charter, if it goes into effect, you would not have a position. And I understand what you're saying. You're saying you'd never take the money if... Bull crap. You and I both know, and I actually remember saying to you as you're walking into that room, how do you sleep at night taking money out of our children's pockets, money that we could be using for education in this town? How do you sleep at night having any idea, taking that money and putting it in your own pocket, knowing that you don't actually have a job here? You don't live here, you don't pay taxes here. Why do you care? I was out in public last weekend. I wear my East Long Meadow Spartans jacket with pride because I work in the school system here. And I had someone come up to me and say, you actually admit to living in East Long Meadow, and it's because of people like you, Mrs. Thorpe, and Mr. Gorman that's making this whole town look like a bunch of morons. And I cannot wait till the day I can see you walk back to West Springfield and stay on that side of the bridge.
You're back.
This can be difficult and painful, a process like this, but I think considering what's going on in town these days, it would be helpful, because I doubt, and maybe you could help me, that you folks could have office hours individually. If you can, I would just suggest that it's going to be beneficial to get through the difficulties that we have, because we're not through them, that there be an opportunity for the public to speak either at your regularly scheduled meetings or once a month, but on a defined periodic basis. I think that we have to keep it under control, and it's just a suggestion for you folks to consider. I think it would be helpful to both you and us, because some people feel the need to get things off their chest, but there's also questions and comments that I think can be productive as part of the process.
I would agree.
So I don't know if you guys, whether it's tonight or or at a future discussion, if you can structure something like that, it would probably be helpful. First of all. Second of all, and I'm not picking on you, Mr. Neffinger, but I do have a question, because it's a significant position that you hold in town, and there was a strong emphasis, if not an absolute emphasis, on the police chief residing in town. And so I guess I wonder why we wouldn't have, for a very senior leadership position in town, basically, you're the guy running the show on a day-to-day basis, and that's a difficult job. I guess I question why we wouldn't have the same posture for that position of leadership in town.
I'm not sure if that's a question to me or
It's a question to whomever is appropriate, and I don't think that is you because it's
Yeah,
not your decision,
I
it's
can
their
answer that
decision.
question for you, because we have 70% of heads of departments that don't live in town.
But that's not my question.
And I agree with you. I think heads of department should live in town. Our superintendent of
Okay.
the schools don't live in town,
Mike's mine right now, so.
Thank you.
which is definitely a position that's a high position in town here, because they control our kids.
No, I agree. So my point is that if we want that to be a standard, then why wouldn't we take advantage of the opportunities to implement that standard or not? And I'm not even advocating for it. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't be eligible for the job because you're from West Springfield. I'm just pointing out what appears to be just, some citizen that lives down the street, to be an inconsistency in the standards that you're applying to senior leadership positions. And positions that are filled. If someone doesn't live in town and we didn't tell them they had to when they took the job, it's not a shame on us, shame on them situation. That situation is what it is. If they're doing their job effectively, they should remain in the job. So it just seems as though there's an inconsistency that's being taken in what I would characterize as two somewhat similar circumstances.
I know that our chief in the past, our police chief in the past has lived in town. My understanding was there was a request for Chief Mellis to live in town, but the contract changed, and it said as long as he was so many miles away. When the contract came up to be, go out to bid again, there was a strong feeling that the next chief should live in town. Now, with regards to the town administrator living in town, that's something that the next board probably should take up, but I can't speak for them.
Well, I guess I would suggest that it doesn't have to wait for that because there is not a signed contract at this point in time. And therefore, it's still subject to negotiation. And again, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm just trying to take an example of if we want the leadership of this town to live here, pay tax, whatever your rationale is behind that, then I would suggest that we should be consistent. And I would also say that a contract isn't in force until a contract is signed.
So noted. Thank you. I believe there was a gentleman in.
I'll be real quick.
Okay,
Again,
sure.
just to follow on the last question, Mr. Selectman Gorman, if you believe that the department heads should be having a residency requirement, and you're so quick about putting other motions forward, why don't you put a motion forward tonight to make it a residency requirement for the town administrator permanent job?
I make a motion to put the administrator's job for East Long Meadow, going to be East Long Meadow resident, living here in a primary house. That got to be their primary residence.
Is that a motion you just put before the board?
But I just want to tell you something. This guy has no contract, okay? He has
yet,
no
but-
contract. We haven't made a contract with this guy at all yet.
But is there a motion before the board to make the permanent town administrator have a residence requirement?
Yes, there is.
Is the board going to vote on it?
So moved.
Wow. I'll second it for discussion. For discussion. Point of order from our attorney.
Any discussion?
Oh.
Meeting law requires that if you're going to consider items and you're going to take action, unless there's an emergency situation.
This is an emergency, this is our town.
Please.
Where it could go on the posted agenda, then the motion you're asking for this meeting is
We can, for Thursday. Sure, we'll consider it for Thursday.
Smile. When are you going to resign?
Okay.
I'm John Mayberry, 215 Prospect Street. I'm also chairman of the Board of Public Works. Mr. Neffinger went on film with the Board of Selectmen prior to speaking with any board member or the superintendent of public works to discuss any such thing about the gaming commission thing, that the DPW is actually under MGL Chapter 41, Section 69D. We are in charge of the streets, the rotaries, and any therefore study. He went on further to say that he talked to us and several others and thought that the Rotary study would be a good thing. We have sent in official paperwork from the Board of Public Works to the Gaming Commission to get that to stop, because it's not MGM's money, it's our money.
That's
right. We were given that money through negotiations with the Select Board, and I think they did a good job to get money for our town that can be used for several things. It can be used for gambling addiction. It can be used for many different intersections in town. It can be used for lots of different things. To just go and pull off a study where we're going to pay some engineers or architects to study our Rotary again is absolutely ludicrous.
That's right.
I'll go on to say, when they find out that we need to do land takings, change streets, change traffic signals, and do all the rest of that, it's not going to cost us $100,000 of the casino's money. It's going to cost us potential land takings of millions of dollars to try and institute something that somebody might come up with. So it's pretty clear to me, if we're trying to curb overtime and we're trying to cut costs and we're trying to keep an eye on our taxes, one of the things we shouldn't do is waste that money that's being given to us on a traffic study of the Rotary. I'm going to take my Department of Public Works chair hat off so that you know I'm speaking as a resident. I'm deeply concerned. I'm deeply concerned that a few months ago, some people came into town, including Mr. Neffinger, and decided they were going to play town manager. And they were going to tell the Board of Selectmen what we could do moving forward. I believe there's a hidden agenda. For Mr. Neffinger to say, I'll be the town administrator, but if you pass a charter, I'll gladly resign. I think Mr. Neffinger has plans of being a town manager under the new town council. And I just need that to be known, and I need to let people understand that there's more of a movement afoot here than what we're seeing in these last few meetings. Thank you.
Richard Turnberg, Summers Road, East Long Meadow. As I said before, there's been so many disingenuous remarks made about people and the hostilities. This town has been fractured so bad, it's almost embarrassing, and I've been here all my life. You know, Mr. Nessinger, you've been quoted in the paper as saying that the chief of police was either co-conspiring against you, against the selectmen, by talking to the chiefs of Farnsworth and the chief of police in West Springfield. It shows that you have something against him. Also, you basically accused him of things that causing a hostile environment at the last time the five individuals that you had for the police chief search committee.
Yeah,
I was at that meeting. There was no hostile environment. The only thing that happened was this pompous man stood up and started preaching about Western civilization and about how we go to church and we should be decent people, just like when he started off tonight with his pompous attitude. So I don't know where you're coming from about the chief. I can tell you one thing. I know the chief very well. And I'll tell you, he's got more intelligence, more integrity, more decency, more common sense than you three people put together.
Please, no name calling. Not, that was him.
No. Do I have to say
didn't
my
call
name
you
again and all
sweetheart.
that stuff? No.
No, I
No, good, we
didn't.
don't have to know. I'm sure a lot of us in this room have read the stories, the indications, the rumors about you, Mr. Gorman, you, Mrs. Thorpe, and you, Mr. Neffinger. I usually do not get involved in town politics. However, this has really kind of brought me out of my comfort zone where I need to address a few issues. And I'm sure everybody wants to know these rumors that have been printed. Is it true, Mr. Gorman, that you have a problem with Chief Mellis because he did not do you a favor involving Joe Calcasola's son, Michael?
Oh, my.
Yes or no?
No.
Please.
No.
No.
Allow
Okay.
him to answer if he's going to answer the question,
Okay.
please.
All right. Can you explain why that seems to be the feeling of everybody?
I don't know why, but I'd like to explain it if you people would listen.
Okay.
Okay.
Because Chief Mellis's son worked as a dispatcher in West Springfield.
Chief Mellis's son did?
Yeah, let me finish.
Okay.
Chief Mellis's son worked with the Casasola kid.
Mm-hmm.
His son couldn't pass the civil service. The Casasola kid did. The Casasola kid got picked to go to the academy. He went to the academy, and the reason the problem, and this is how the whole problem started. Mr. Casasola wouldn't lie about Mr. O'Brien over in West Springfield when they questioned him. Him and another fellow wouldn't lie. So when Mr. Casasola went to the academy at STCC, who Mr. McKenzie, who was a chief in Munson who got fired, got appointed at the academy over in at STCC. Well, they railroaded this kid, and I investigated it myself because Mr. and Mrs. Casasola wanted me to come up to the house to talk to me when I became selectman. I went up to their house and they told me their kid got railroaded out of academy. Well, any academy I've been in, if you get kicked out of academy, you must have done something wrong.
Correct.
So I listened to Mr. and Mrs. Casasola, and this is exactly what I said to him. If your kid's a dirtbag, I'm not doing nothing for him, because to get kicked out of academy, you had to do something wrong.
Correct.
So what I did, I investigated the academy myself and found out that Mr. McKenzie was railroading him. And as you people know, if you read the paper, that academy has had troubles ever since then. They had a sexual thing right after that a 47-year-old man turned them in that was going to the academy. After that, another young kid had his eye put out in the academy. They've had one problem after another at that academy. Mr. Casasola appealed his getting kicked out. He won his appeal.
He
So-
did have to be put into another academy, isn't that correct?
Excuse me?
He did have to go to another academy
Yes.
because he was kicked out of
Yes,
this
ma'am,
one.
he did.
And wasn't it just because he had
Could I-
mishandled?
Could I finish?
Certainly.
So we couldn't put him back in that Western Mass Academy because of what happened. So we put him in academy in Boston. For what they flunked him at the STCC Academy, he got a 98 down in Boston, which that academy is a little tougher than the Springfield Academy. So that's what happened. There were no deals made, there was nothing. I did what I could for a young kid, like if it was your son or anybody else's son. I fought for the kid because I was trying to make a wrong right. And I think I did make a wrong right because that boy is on the East Long Meadow Police Department today and
Okay.
doing a good job.
All right.
Okay, 1 minute.
No, and you, Mrs. Thorpe.
Yes.
Because of all the innuendos that have been going on in the
Yes.
newspaper, rumors, so on and so forth, about you being quote-unquote in bed with Frank Keogh, and I don't mean that literally by any
I don't think my
intentions.
husband appreciated, but.
Well, it's an expression,
I
as you know.
understand.
Okay. And the rumors are about you getting a job at Superior Court. Let me
Oh, yeah.
finish. Okay.
I'm also going to be on Supreme Court, too, according to
Okay.
the rumors.
Okay. Well, fabulous. And because Frank Keogh helped you get that position, would you like to do anything about those rumors and say whether you've started your job yet at Superior Court?
Well, see, you're taking an assumptive attitude. I was not, and I have not been offered a job at the courthouse. I didn't seek one. All of that is false.
Okay. See,
and I
the-
have heard those rumors as
Right.
well, and the reporter did ask me about them.
Yeah.
And it went so far as saying that I was going to be on the Supreme Court, so.
Well, I think that would have been a stretch. I didn't
think
hear
so,
that
too.
part.
I agree.
So is there any connection at all? Because I'm sure the townspeople, again, reading, writing, listening.
I'm familiar
Is there
with- I'm
any,
familiar with Frank
any
Keogh.
type of contact that you do have with Mr. Keogh or you, Mr. Neffinger?
I'd be happy to answer that.
Well, I'd like Mrs. Thorpe
I
to
just
answer
did.
first.
I just said I'm familiar with Frank Keogh.
Well, how,
as
that's
far,
not.
I mean, he is a Democrat. I'm a Democrat.
Okay, so that's it? It's just because
that's
you're
it.
both Democrats?
Well,
That's what you're saying?
I'm saying that I do know who Frank Keel is.
Okay.
I have been introduced to him. As far as him being my best buddy or being involved with him, that is not true.
Okay.
No more than I would with, I do talk to people in town, so I mean, I'm the type of person that will talk to just about anybody, and I'm not going to apologize for that. If
I'm not
somebody
asking
was-
you to apologize.
Mhm.
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, and I'm just
Okay.
answering it.
And you, Mr. Neffinger?
I'd like to tell you right out, I never asked Frank Keogh to do a thing for me, okay? Just hear me out. I never asked Frank Keogh to lobby for me, nor did I ever ask Frank Keogh to lobby for Captain O'Brien, okay? If someone wants to accuse me of that, show me the proof, because I have people who will show you differently. I've been accused of things. I don't know if people here are concerned about that. I've been unjustly accused for things that never happened, okay? Never, ever happened. And by the way, anyone who wants to come to my office to talk to me, my office is open at the town hall. I will talk to anybody about anything. I have nothing to hide. And by the way, I'd like to go to the ethics or to the Attorney General. And I've talked to a detective from the Attorney General and told them everything that's going on. I'd love to. Why? Because I love to have my name cleared, right? I love to have people say, these things are untrue, okay? As far as Frank Keogh, I've run for elected positions. I'm a conservative Republican. He's a liberal Democrat, okay? You can see how much we have in common, right? But I've met Frank Keogh along the way, and, you know, I'm happy to associate with anybody, really. But do I hang out with Frank Keogh? I don't. But listen, I'm a believer in redemption. If someone wants to come to me and sit with me and talk, I will talk to them about my faith in God. I will talk about redemption. I will talk about the kingdom of God. And if you don't want to hear it, you go someplace else. If someone wants to do it, so what separation? The Constitution says there will be no laws against the free expression of religion. I can express my religion anywhere, anytime.
Okay, all right.
Okay, there is somebody waiting behind
Yes.
you, so.
And my very last question.
sure.
Last one. Mr. Gorman, when Mr. Turnberg was just up here and he was discussing, since you became on the selectmen, how you have accused all these different departments of corruption. And I've read about it myself. I'm sure many townspeople have. Can you tell us why you have that feeling and where you have that evidence?
Yeah, I didn't accuse all the town employees.
I
and
didn't
all
say
the-
employees,
all
I
the
said
depart- All the
departments.
departments of corruption. I said there's corruption in the town when I ran. And and this is one of the things I'm doing.
Okay.
As you can see what's going on here. People took what West Springfield said about Mr. Neffinger.
No.
And that, we're letting the corruption in West Springfield come over into East Long Meadow.
You're letting the corruption.
No, let me finish, okay? And I'm going to tell you, there's heads of departments that are using employees that work under them to do work in their own businesses in this town. That's corruption to me. There's people in this town that got $20,000 raises. To be exact, there's 5 of them. The town wasn't in an uproar when those people got, and there's other people, other women working in the town hall where the pay is so unequal because of the last selectman here, which I'm trying to get a committee, outside vendor to come in to do a study of all the departments to try to equal thing out because of the animosity between all the people in the town hall. And to me, that was corruption back then when those other selectmen were here.
Time.
And what I do, when I look at, I'm here to try to get the taxes down. That's all I've been trying to do. I'm not a politician. What I'm trying to do is look at the different budgets. The IT director, he got $75,000 for a job that top pay was $45,000 by former selectmen. And he's up to 93 right now, or 90-something thousand dollars, 98. What I did with his contract, I didn't give him a penny raise. And he was supposed to get a degree 14 years ago. So I didn't give, I brought it to the Board of Selectmen here not to give him a raise. I tried to take money away from him, but I got outvoted. Because I think it's wrong that someone would get that much more money than what the top pay was for the job. Because like Mr. Caliente, the accountant, Mr. Federici brought it up, that we were going to get rid of him, but he was doing a good job, but we thought we could get someone at a cheaper rate, and we got rid of Mr. Caliente. Well, I think we can get a police chief at a better rate, because when you look at a budget for $377,000, which caught my eye, and 155 of that is going for 5 police officers, there's something wrong. That's what I looked into it.
Don't you think that our budget is high just because, as I've been led to believe, that we have 3 police officers that are in active duty, and that's why there's overtime?
Yes, and let me tell you something. I've been here 2 years almost.
Yeah.
Right? The police chief has never asked, since I've been here, I don't know about before, has never asked for an extra police officer because of the budget. The only ones that we gave him were the ones that when someone retired and a patrolman was made a sergeant, we backfilled for that sergeant. That's the only time.
Why would he ask if he's got men that just can't do their job right now because they're serving our country? So why he can't fire those men?
No,
he
you're
can't
right.
replace those
They're all
men.
back.
Okay, but at that time, you're complaining about what has happened in the past as well about the budget. You've been here for 2 years complaining about these things.
No, ma'am. That just happened. Those guys that serve the country were here since I've been here. They serve their country. They're all back.
Right,
and I understand you need overtime to fill their slots. I'm talking about extra patrolmen. If he needs 5 extra patrolmen, I've been glad to give them to him if he asked me. But he never asked the board since I've been here for any extra patrolmen, because if that's one way to get the overtime down, I would definitely do it.
Okay, just time. Thank you. Yeah,
Hi,
1
I'm
minute.
Robin
It's supposed
Glidden.
to
I
be.
live at 27 Girard Avenue. I am not a townie, although I tell everyone I'm a townie. I've only been here 6 years. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not a townie. I haven't been here all my whole life. I've been here 6 years. I moved to this town because I heard great things about it, and it was a wonderful place to live, and it was quiet, and everybody knew everybody, and the school system was fantastic.
It is.
I lived in Springfield. The school system is not so fantastic. So I came to live here so my grandson could go to school in East Long Meadow. I used to work 3 to 11 shift. So when you work 3 to 11, you come home at 12, you can't go to sleep. And I used to sit and watch LCAT. And I watched this meeting, and the DPW meeting, and the library meeting, and the superintendent of schools meeting. And I really enjoyed them until about 4 months ago. 4 months ago, 3 months ago, it became a shouting match. These two against the man in the middle, with this one over here talking to Mrs. Thorpe. Do this, do that. Billy, vote on this. Billy, second that. Billy, read that motion. Are you a man or are you a mouse?
Please, no.
I understand that
Please,
some...
please
no,
refrain from name calling, please.
I didn't call anybody a name. I asked him a question. I'm just beside myself. I actually watched the last meeting on LCAT 4 times. 4 times. Because it was crazy. I could not believe what I was seeing. You two came in here with an agenda. I don't know if he was involved or not. I don't really care if he was involved. He's an employee of the town. And you know, Mr. Neffinger, if you don't like your job, get the heck out. You can quit. Hit the bridge. But you 3, you live here. You argued the 2 of you. Last meeting was horrendous. I thought I was watching 2 5-year-olds have a fight over a toy. And Mr. Federici was the toy.
I don't
That's
believe there was
disgusting.
arguing.
That was very disgusting. And as adult people elected to a board that's supposed to be in charge of our city, our town, and make rules and regulations, to come in here and do what you did to Mr. Federici is unconscionable.
But, Dick, by the way, that's news to my wife.
Okay, this is the last time I'll come up here. Billy, I voted for you I put your sign on my lawn. You did accuse everybody. You and Joe Townsend had this term, team corruption. And I expected after you got elected that we were going to see people coming out of the town hall in handcuffs, people resigning, and people jumping out of the second-story window up there committing suicide because of what you were going to do, all right? Now, I just want to tell you something. The day before this last Selectmen's meeting, 2 weeks ago, the day before, the obstructionist, Joe Townsend, told me, mentioned Paul Federici. He said to me the day before, he's out, right? He said to me, Millis is out. And he told me about Niffinger. Get used to him. So what is he, your political advisor or what?
I don't know, Dick, you seem to be the one going to him, asking him for advice and stuff,
I know,
not me.
I know, he's my entertainment.
Okay. Yeah.
Or he was my entertainment.
Well, I think you're his entertainment, too.
Well, that's good.
I think he tells you stuff to get you riled up, Dick, and
Thank you for your comment.
it's working.
All right.
Thank you, exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
Jim Bartholomew,
Yeah,
Miss
we're gonna bring it
95,
to an
Glen
end.
Farms Drive.
We'll go for another 10 minutes.
Mr. Gorman, we've seen your act. I'm asking you one question. I'm asking you to resign tonight before you're recalled to resign. Thank you.
Are you going to take my place? And can you do a better job?
I didn't say,
Let me just tell you something. You people are all critical, but I didn't see anybody run against Mr. Federici. I didn't see anybody run against the planning board. You're all complaining about the government, but nobody runs.
This is exactly what I'm
Nobody
talking
runs.
about.
If anybody can do a better job, step up.
You're being unprofessional, Mr. Gorman.
No,
You're
I'm
sitting
not.
there chewing gum.
Because let me just tell you something. Just let me tell you something. People said I was corrupt. I want you people to listen to what I'm telling you, and without an interruption. Mr. Keogh and Mr. Santinello supposedly went to Mr. Federici, the good guy here, and was going to make a deal about some job that the Charter Commission is already presenting to whoever about a finance job. Well, I just want to let you think about something. Mr. Keogh and Mr. Santinello didn't come to Mr. Neffinger, Mrs. Thorpe, or Billy Gorman to make a deal. The weak link must have been who they went to. And why was it 2.5 months? Listen to what I'm saying. Why was it 2.5 months? In December or January, they went to Mr. Federici and wanted to make a deal with him about this guy, O'Brien. Why was it 2.5 months later when Mr. O'Brien pulled his paper? Why was it corruption then, but it wasn't at the time that they said something to him? And Mr. Federici said, well, I'm keeping a arrow in my quill. Well, what the heck does that mean? That means until Mr. O'Brien got out of there, I would have had the job, but once he pulled his paper, I was gone. But they didn't come to me because they know they can't buy me off.
Actually, to correct matters, and I've said this to the press and I've said this to the Attorney General, Mr. Keogh almost broke his hand and his arm, patting himself on the back for the fact that he got both these people elected to their positions. That's what I was told, and that's what and also the reason I didn't go is because I was going to go to the authorities, but I figured if I went to the authorities immediately, there'd be enough smoke blown that by the time it came down to picking a police chief, everybody would have forgotten what I said. So I held off. It worked out. We got rid of O'Brien, and we're moving on.
And I'd just like to say one thing. I can prove everything I do or say. Can Mr. Federici do it?
Yes, I can.
He said that Mr. Keogh helped me with my thing.
Mr. Keogh told me that.
Mr. Keogh didn't do nothing.
Mr. Gorman,
Please.
I'll ask you one more time. We're asking for your resignation before you recall.
No.
I heard you. We heard you. Thank you. Next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Anna Page. I live at 19 Knollwood Drive. I've had the good fortune of
A little closer to the
I've
microphone.
had the good fortune of living in East Long Meadow since 1987. My children went through the school system. I feel like I've benefited from living in this town. And I think I speak for many when I say I put my power in the board through my vote, and I'm very disappointed with the way things have been going on. And I guess I was asleep at the wheel. I had good faith in you to, meet the needs of the town, respect our taxpayers' money. It's not happening. And the thing that really made me wake up and pay attention was the way you treated Chief Mellis. He didn't deserve it, and I'm just dismayed by that. I am acquainted with him, I'll admit it, but you have a man who's a fine public servant. Sorry, $137,000, not a lot of money. You put that uniform on, you deserve every penny of it. And every young person that goes, out there every day to serve us. And now, 2 years before his retirement, the man is just let go like a piece of trash.
Well, let me just say something to you, ma'am. So what you're telling me is any department, and we're just using the police department, but we've done this with other departments, looked into their budgets. We made one person pay $119 back because he overspent his budget. We had another person that didn't get a raise. When I looked into this budget, to see if I was the CEO of a company and I saw $155,000 out of a $377,000 budget is going to 5 people, I think my eyes would light up if I was the CEO, saying, what's going on here? When I looked into it, and I just want to also tell you, we didn't fire Mr. Mellis. All we did, his contract came up. You cannot do nothing with someone's contract in the middle of a contract. You have to wait till the contract is up before you can do anything. We offered him new stipulations on his contract. One was living in East Long Meadow. He don't want to live in East Long Meadow. Every other police chief that we've had lived in East Long Meadow. They went outside for Mr. Mellis because he didn't live in East Long Meadow. He lives in Springfield.
I know that.
Mr. Mellis will make over $100,000 for his pension, and he has not paid one dime tax in this town, okay?
But sir,
no, I'm saying that because someone else mentioned it before.
You don't speak.
All right?
But I don't think that is, I understand what you're trying to do, sir, I do. You're trying to respect our money, and I thank you for that.
But
when
I'm glad
But
you
I
do.
don't think that is an issue when it came to our police chief. He's a well-respected man, and I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed for what happened to him.
But ma'am, just let me say, there's a lot of respected people in here. But
Oh, yeah,
that don't mean some of these departments can just spend what they want
But I don't think he was
because they're
doing
nice
that.
guys. But let me just say something. The past selectmen have never done an evaluation on Mr. Mellis in 11 years. 11 years. Is it Mr. Mellis's fault? No, I'm not saying it's fault. But when he took the job over in 2005, which he shouldn't have got the job because he was number 12 on the list, and I can prove, I can prove
But
it.
and let's look at his job.
Let me just say. So back then, it should have been number 1, 2, 3, or 5 that got picked for the job. But back then, Mr. Mellis made a statement in the reminder that the overtime, he knew overtime was a problem when he took the job. What I say to you, ma'am, is why would I leave him here another 2 years when in 11 years he has done nothing to fix the overtime?
But he is understaffed, and a study was done that we have 1.62 police officers per 1,000 people.
Yes, I have that study.
And other towns have 2 full police officers per 1,000 people. So we are understaffed, and why is this his fault?
Because all he had to do since I've been here, and I was a liaison, I spent 2.5 hours up his office, one time, 2 hours another time. He never mentioned one word. We just did negotiations with the police. Mrs. Thorpe just did the negotiations with the police department. And with Layla Taylor, the attorney. He didn't come to them and say, look at, the contract is a headache to me for overtime. Because we might have been able to do something at that time.
But after
about
11
it.
years of service, couldn't he have been given the respect to say, this is what we're having a problem with? And we'd love to retain you. We thank you for your service.
But
Please
we
treat it
don't
like-
know that's his problem unless he told us that was his problem.
No.
How would I know that, ma'am?
But you do know we were understaffed. You said the 1.62.
After the fact, that's what
statistic.
they said, that he was understaffed.
I don't know.
After all this came to a head, he told us that was the problem.
I just don't know how we can really retain good quality people and very important positions if we're going to treat them that way. Who's going to want to come to this town?
Understood.
Who's going to want to come here?
Thank you for your comment.
Well, I
Thank
don't
you.
think getting over $100,000 for not even getting out of bed and putting your slippers on is throwing Mr. Mellis out the door.
But it's a matter of his dignity, sir. He served the public. No.
I would ask
he's
if you're not at the
going to be
mic,
doing
please.
that.
Thank you.
He deserves a little more, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Sid Starks, 28 Elm Street. I believe you three are the police commissioners. Doesn't the police budget go to you, and then it goes to appropriations to be reviewed? So you should know about the overtime, correct?
Right. But when it,
And we
may
have.
I answer that? Can I
Yes,
respond to that?
absolutely.
When we, in October, we had our fall town meeting. The overtime went over again. The same way that our fire chief came here and said that this is where we are, it's going to be this much over, and then you go to appropriations. That never happened at all with Chief Mellis. And then the appropriations, for the first time that I've ever seen them, did not approve the overtime that was the overage. And so that kind of brought,
I believe they were waiting for you to present a budget to them, and you were late.
no, they were.
Yes.
Okay,
You were.
okay. I don't
So-
believe we were, but go ahead.
According to appropriations, you were.
Wow.
So, now, Mr. Gorman, you and I have mutual friends. Charter is a very emotional issue for a lot of people here, whether you're for it or against it. I'm a little offended that you're trying to tie the mafia to charter, to working with Mr. Neffinger. You know,
What are you talking
you just mentioned a few minutes ago that there's some deal Charter is working out with Mr. Neffinger to make him town manager.
No, I didn't say that, sir.
I must be going
I
deaf.
said Mr. Keogh and Mr. Santinello, who is Paul Federici's relative, was trying to work out something with Paul Federici for this finance job that the charter committee is supposedly coming up with. That's what I said.
For the finance position.
I never said anything about the charter committee.
No.
Okay.
So I'm just confused. Please, it's an emotional issue
It is.
with charter, whether you want to change town government or keep it the way it is. This fiasco is just actually aside from the charter. So please don't attack charter. Please don't attack the current form of government. Don't make team corruption a platform. Just fix it if you know how. You're bothering a lot of people here.
Got
You're
it.
bringing our town down, all of you. Do the right thing. You said that the police commissioner's, police chief's job, it came up. You elected not to renew his contract, similar to elections in town. And hopefully the town will speak April 12th. But just do your job. Do it right. Treat everybody with respect here. I mean, you're treating townspeople like they're idiots. Please don't.
No,
Sir,
sir,
thank you.
sir, let me tell you something.
Please tell me.
You put me in this job, you voted for me to try to do something with the taxes. That's what I've been trying to do. But when I make one move to try to look into someone's budget because of what struck you in the eye,
Appropriations have been trying to get you to
let
do
me
for
finish.
years.
Let me finish. We're doing the same thing that Belchertown's doing. They're having the exact same problem East Long Meadow's having with their police chief search.
I don't
The
believe
exact
Chief
same
Mellis
thing.
was drinking.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. No, he
What
wasn't.
I'm saying is, be respectful. You should have treated Chief Mellis with respect. Obviously, this ship has sailed. Please treat DeLessio with respect this time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Well,
it's
I
easy
think
to say.
Mr. DeLessio is going to make some good changes for the town, I can assure you.
Okay, that's all I ask.
Not yet. Yeah, from what we talked to him about. We got his ideas.
I'm Bob Hildreth, 17 Susan Street.
Come a little closer,
I
please.
want to say two things. Number one, I believe in IBM. Keep it simple, stupid. The second thing is this. I don't like hearing about Springfield and West Springfield telling us how to run our town government. We have a strong town with good people. We should be able to solve our own problems because of our effort, not because of rumors. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly Degnan, Girard Avenue.
You'll be the last one.
Okay, I have just a couple things.
Well, if-
I'll be brief, I promise.
Okay.
First and foremost, as far as the police department in this town, there may be overtime, but you know what? Last year, when my husband was dying in my living room, it was those police officers who came to my house and saved his life. And I would pay them $137,000 more just for that moment. So thank you, Mr. Gorman, for minimizing their job. They appreciate that.
Thank you for your comment.
And then, Mr. Donahue, you had said earlier that making a motion today to have the town administrator living in town is not a motion that can be brought up tonight. Well, according to your website, you have a meeting this coming Thursday, the 31st at 6 p.m. I say we make a motion for that night to vote on that issue.
Okay.
And that's Thursday, so that's 48 hours from now. It would have had to be 2 hours ago. Oh, I'm sorry.
But-
6 hours. It's not that I don't like what's happening here. I understand the rules and regulations. It's people like this who think they are above the rules and regulations. That's my problem.
I had said that she would be the last one, and I see
But you also
two.
said we wouldn't limit time either.
No, I said we would limit,
You said in the very beginning we would
I said
not
we
be
would limit it to
on
1
time.
minute.
No,
I did.
We would not limit time
I-
in the beginning.
Let's
What I
not
was
argue.
about to
Let's-
say
let's
is
keep
if it is
closed.
the pleasure of the community to have the last, I see 3 people speak, and that would be it, I will make an exception to what I had said earlier.
Thank you for that.
What did you say?
I didn't say a thing. I said
Oh.
I can't wait till you're gone is what I said.
Well,
Would you like
that's
me to put
okay.
that in the microphone?
You don't have to wait until it'll be on the 12th.
Okay.
I'll be right outside.
Okay.
Please, I'd like to, can you guys hear me?
I
Doesn't
can.
sound-
It's very quiet.
There we go. Someone shut me off, and I think it was intentional, but I have 2 easy questions. The first one is relative to, let's stay away from all the technicalities. Selectman Gorman, you suggested that you were in support of residency for the town manager. I guess all I would ask is that it would be probably to everyone's benefit, including yours, Mr. Neffinger, because we don't want all of this grinding going on back and forth, that given how close it is to when we're going to decide whether to change town government structure, wouldn't it be in everybody's benefit to not have to worry about contractual language that says there's no severance pay or the like, to the extent the position is eliminated because of a change in town government, and there is a month-by-month arrangement in place? I would just suggest that it would be to everybody's benefit to allow that to play out in the ballot box and then deal with whether we have a town manager or a town administrator after that happens. It's just too close for it not to happen. No response necessary. I just think that's the logical and best thing to do at this point in time, just considering the timing. The other question I had was Selectman Gorman. I just want to make sure that in my mind, what I think I heard, so I'm just seeking a little bit of clarity. You mentioned that there, I'm trying to understand whether you mentioned that there is corruption that you're aware of in town today?
What?
Are you aware of corruption in town in any departments today?
Yes, I am.
You are, okay. Would it not be appropriate for you to, and maybe you have, maybe you haven't, so maybe the better question is, have you brought any of that evidence to any law enforcement agency, whether within the town or outside of the town, so that an appropriate investigation can be done. Because I'm not questioning your ability to investigate, but I think that strikes me, and I'm not a lawyer, but it strikes me as a legal matter that you would have an obligation as a member of the board to bring to the legal authorities of your choice.
But I can't tell you, sir, what I'm doing, because I got people that are afraid to come forward right now with what they know about what's going on in town. And as soon as I can prove the corruption in town, you will be the first to know about it, I'm sure.
I honestly don't want to be the first. What I'm suggesting, and I certainly don't want to be the person you're targeting, but in hope I don't work for the town. But my point is that uncovering things like that is a skill that is taught and embedded in law enforcement agencies. So if you're trying to do it on your own, the only suggestion I have is that you seek out people who do that for a living, because they should be able to help.
Thank you.
Good evening. Phil LaRosa, 61 Harwich Road. My question, while we're clearing up things tonight, and maybe we can clear this one up that I read in the paper, is it true that Chief Mellis will be paid an additional year? Was that in his contract? Can anybody answer that question? Do we owe him $137,000 after April 1st or March 31st?
I'm going to speak for me. The way I read it...
Well, you're the chairman. Why don't you tell us?
Yeah, I will.
You're the chair lady.
Okay. The way that I read it was that any time that the chief would leave, that there would be a year's pay. It didn't matter when he left.
When we didn't give him a notice of 12 months.
No, it doesn't matter of the notice. The way I read it was that any time that he would leave, he would get a year's pay. Now, there are some differing opinions, and our legal counsel is looking into that.
I would think the legal counsel could tell us at any time probably is not in there.
Labor
Any time's
counsel.
too vague.
I'm sorry?
Jim, is it in there as any time or 12 months prior to?
18 months.
Come on over, I'll share it with you. I'll be glad to.
My recollection of the contract, and I haven't read it for a couple of months, but is that there was a provision in the original contract that provided if the chief was not reappointed or offered reappointment as chief, that he would be entitled to up to 18 months. But no, let me finish. But at a minimum of 12 months of his compensation at the end of his appointment.
So we owe him 12 months.
The language is there, and there is a question that he may be entitled to that amount of money. Those of you who have dealt with attorneys know that we never say anything definitively 100% one way or the other. So are issues that the town could raise to avoid maybe having to pay that, but there is a clause that pretty straightforward says that there's some money that may be due.
And it wasn't tied to the notice.
I think,
yeah.
As you said, Jim, that's kind of vague.
Hey, Greg.
I'll guess the worst, and we probably owe him yet another $137,000. Now, my next question is, whoa, Mr. Neffinger.
Sorry.
I don't need to hear from you.
Selectman Gorman asked me to answer that because I'm here full-time. And if you want to know,
you weren't.
Do you want to know?
No, not from you, sir, not from you. We've heard enough from you.
You know what?
Anybody stands up in a meeting, the last meeting, and puts his hands on his hips and does this and starts shouting, you should just go to West Springfield and, stay over there. It's okay. We won't miss you. We had a town administrator here, Mr. Nick Bro, who we never heard from. He did everything behind the scenes. He caused nothing in the paper, no eruptions. Things were calm. He was efficient. And now he sits in Wilbraham. You showed up, sir, and things have been, the water has been just a little ripply. Mrs. Thorpe, I have a question to you, Madam Chairman. You like to be called Madam Chairman.
However you like.
I want to ask you this. Now, try to understand. Let's just take you out of it and me out of it and East Long Meadow out of it, okay? So we have a primary and there's 5 people running, okay? The person who doesn't make it to the final 2 or the top 2, in fact, is the 5th person. Do you think at a following meeting, that person, who the town, this is the town here, this is a fraction of it, we're here, do you think that that person who couldn't make it above the 5th person in a primary should then be put in the position as chairman of our town? Do you think that's right? Take yourself out. I'll take myself out. We'll take East Long Meadow out. Do you think it's appropriate? Do you think it sounds kosher? Tell me. If you read about this in a paper, some other town, what would you think?
I would think there had to be more to it.
I would think there's more to it, too. I would think so. Mr. Neffinger, please do us all a favor. Clean up your desk tonight. Go across the bridge. Stay over there. It's okay. We'll be okay. You'll be okay. We'll be okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
So, Selectman Thorpe, you're asking me to do what now? To address that. You know what? You have a right to talk. I'm happy to have all you folks here talking, right? That's our system of government, and I'm happy to do that. But my parents didn't teach me to talk to people disrespectfully. And what do you want me to say?
What did you want me to say? Really?
What do you want me to address?
Yes, tell him what to say. Like you told Billy, I'm telling him the topic that I want. Yes, you're telling him what to say.
I'm telling him the topic that I want him to address. The topic that I want him to address is with regards to the Chief Mellis's contract and what legal counsel has said to him.
Well, we already know about that.
We heard from legal counsel.
That's our legal counsel.
Attorney Donahue is our town counsel. We also have Sullivan and Hayes, who's our legal counsel. So under the direction of the Board of Selectmen, individuals, I shouldn't say the board, but individuals asked me, where does this contract stand? Can you ask our labor counsel? So I asked our labor counsel, and some of this is confidential, so I'm not going to give you any definite information because it has to deal with, and Attorney Donahue would probably back this up, that has to do with negotiations and whether I might say things that might compromise the town or cause it to pay more money than it has to. But anyways, Labor Council did acknowledge that the language was unclear in the contract about whether or not you owe any money or you owe some money. So I'll just leave it at that right now. But they did acknowledge that it wasn't clear.
Okay, thank you. I know.
My name is Carl Olin. I live on 10 Pease Road, and I don't want to go around and around as to what has been said this evening. However, I think leadership definitely has its challenges. And a good leader will take a look at what he has or she has done to make things work, and they deserve the credit. When things don't work, you take a responsibility. That's right. And I think if we want to look at the leaders, the people who have gotten up here tonight and have spoken have sent you a message about what you should be as a leader. And there's no question about where that stands. I also am quite concerned about a comment that Mr. Gorman made recently after what happened to Chief Mellis, which wasn't handled, I think, incorrectly at all. Okay. And by the way, I think he made a very good, clear presentation of his budget. But there was no move to sit with him, talk with him, and work it out. Nonetheless, you made a comment, sir, about another department chairman, and you made a statement about a degree that he didn't have, and he's been here. Take a look at the age of technology and what has happened in this community under his leadership. I don't think we are suffering at all. Nope. This is a person who has also served his country. He served his country and gave technical advice when he was overseas. And I will tell you something, I have a vested interest in the parade in this community because it's a wonderful thing supported by the terrific citizens here. This young man came up 2 years ago when we were almost going to disband because we didn't have enough volunteers. He has resurrected this parade. He is a giver. And I fear if he is going to be treated like Chief Mellis, we're going to lose him, and that would be an absolute crime. So please lead the way you should.
Look at sir. The IT director is a good friend of mine, okay? So you don't need to tell me about his past. I was in the service also, and I have 9 brothers and sisters that all served also. And I respect the veterans. I'm the liaison for the veterans. So all I said to you is, when the man got hired back with Jimmy Driscoll and Villamino and all those people, they gave him a pay that surpassed what the top pay was for. I'm not degrading the guy, I'm not downing the guy, and I do think he does a great job in East Long Meadow. But I'm saying, because the guy was a great job, don't mean you give the town of East Long Meadow away to a person no more than we do anybody else because he served in the service. Nobody, I get $38 a week for putting up with all this baloney. But I took the job not for the money. I took it to try to do something for East Long Meadow. And I'm trying to bring the taxes down. I got beat by 13 votes at the last town meeting. And I'm trying to do something for the people. But let me tell you, if you people don't like it, I'll tell you, I'll step down. Okay. Because, and let me see if any of you people step up and will do a better job. I hear all the most, but that's all I hear.
Madam Secretary, could we bring this back to order, please?
Yes.
I don't understand what you're saying. I'm not going to say that I do. All I am saying is I did not like the direction on what you were doing and where you were going, and I understand your service commitments. But I'm almost fearing for the other department heads in town if this were to continue. It's a travesty, and it shouldn't happen.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Thanks. Just,
He hasn't spoken yet.
I don't need you to.
I
Come
know,
on.
but I'm just helping you out.
Come on. I have to say, you will be the last speaker, and then we'll be closing. Because it's 8:05. Go ahead.
I would like to address a comment made by town council earlier.
Sure.
There was a motion made on the floor by Billy to require town residency by our new town administrator. The town council stopped that motion and said that it was not legal based on the fact that 48 hours was not given to the townspeople. At the last meeting, the makeup of the board was changed. That was not on the agenda. We were not notified 40 hours in advance. So given those two conditions, which stands? Either Billy's motion to require the town manager to be a resident stands, or
we get Paul back.
Paul is reinstated as chairman of the board. That's a question for you.
And that requirement was mentioned at the last meeting to the board, and no action was taken. Really?
No, it wasn't. I was here.
I can't change it, I can't do anything about it.
Okay, I get it. So then his motion stands tonight. He made the motion.
I know he made it.
So you can't
Okay.
change that.
I'm not changing it.
So he made it, so
He
let's
made
go.
it. We vote on it.
All I'm saying is, if that motion were made, and they voted on it,
They did.
Oh,
that there is a valid complaint to be made or violation of the open meeting law to the Attorney General's office.
So let's
Okay,
take Paul back.
so we have a valid complaint against the Attorney General's office
Yeah.
for an open meeting violation for the removal of Paul as chairman because it was not on the board, it was not on the agenda.
I already did. Yeah, we did.
Mm.
Yeah, we did that last week.
Could I just actually explain a point? Are you saying that we as town people, we want to do something about the vote last meeting? Or what we should be doing is calling the Attorney General's office?
Yeah. Yes, yes, that's what happened.
I'm not saying you have to call the Attorney General's office.
Yes.
No, it's covered. Just wait.
Those people have been told there is a statute that deals with open
Right, but my question, if,
Laws contained in General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18 through 25.
if I may, please,
He has the
I
mic.
would like you to come to the mic after me, and I would support you.
No, because you're the last speaker.
My question specifically is, you make recommendations to the board based on the law. He made a motion. The motion was on the table. You stopped him. You did not stop her from making the motion to remove Paul Federici. You instead chose to approach the bench silently and tell her. Okay.
It's convenient that he missed it.
Okay.
So what's good?
At this point, at this point,
I might be able to help this.
So we fix it tonight by reinstating Paul as
Excuse
the
me.
chairman.
Excuse me. If I may say something, I appreciate your sentiment.
Okay, if
But
you
I
don't
guess
want it,
no, but I guess the theory is, the old two rights don't make a wrong. It was done incorrectly last week, and I know numerous people have contacted the Ethics Commission on a couple of votes last week, but that doesn't mean that you can do it again, you know what I mean? If you rob a store and get away with it, that doesn't mean you can do it a second time, so.
I'm not asking for two rights to make a wrong. I'm asking for a choice between which one of them was right and that one instated.
we did hear your comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, seeing nobody at the mic, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.